again. So, yesterday I started reading The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This is my very first time reading the book and my first time reading anything by Ali Hazelwood. I'm reading this book with the same group of people that I read An Immaculate Deception by Isabella Lavina with. And I'm pretty sure I'm one of the very, very small pool of people that have not read this book and are reading it for the first time. I know definitely there's at least one other person who is reading this book for the first time, but I didn't catch up on the messages. So I don't remember if there's like a third person who also hasn't read this book. I'm not sure, but I'm definitely in that category of the person that is reading this book for the very first time. I thought it would just be kind of fun to sort of document or vlog or whatever whenever I finish reading a couple of chapters of this book and just sharing whatever thoughts that I have about it. Yesterday, I read more than what I thought I was going to. I didn't have like a set number of chapters or pages that I wanted to get through. I just wanted to start it because I think I'm pretty sure I'm one of the last people to start reading this book in the group chat, which is totally fine. There's no rush. But I just wanted to get started to reading it yesterday, and I read way more than what I originally planned, I guess, even though there was no plan. I read the prologue all the way to chapter 7, I believe. So I'm about like 136 pages into this book. And I guess just to point out some of the things that I have been enjoying so far, so this might sound really lame, but I really love that they figure out and establish the logistics of their fake dating, because the reason that Olive has to fake date somebody, it's very girl code, it's very believable, and it's very valid. With Adam's case, I don't know if I should like put spoiler warnings or anything because it has been some time since this book came out, but I know there's still people out there that have not read it, like me, for example. I don't know if I'll say exactly what the spoiler is. Sorry, I'm like just trying to figure it out on the spot because I didn't think I was going to be able to record this today. But with Adam's reasoning to participate in this fake dating situation with Olive, I also thought his reasoning was really believable. I feel like it is something that does kind of happen in real life. I mean, I guess I'll just like sort of say it. With his work, I know in real life, some companies and some businesses want to see their employees commit to a job, and their definition is going to vary whether they end up moving closer to the job or they take on another like higher role within the company, or even just like getting established within the community in certain ways. So Adam's reasoning pertaining to like that stuff that I just mentioned is very believable because it is something that does happen in real life. And I'm glad that Olive and Adam figure out like the details of their fake dating, because they end up establishing a certain date and time throughout the week that they should meet, like in public, so that way they can show everybody that they're 100% in fact dating each other in order to just keep up the ruse. So I like that they make the time to establish that kind of thing. And I like that in their like fake dating day that they pick, because I don't want to say the day. I think it's fun to read when they're on their dates. We do start to learn more about them as people. Like we learn about Olive, who is living that graduate student life. She has roommates. She doesn't have a lot of money. So whenever her and Adam go out on their fake dates together, she has him pay for all of like her super sugary coffee drinks. And whenever Adam shares about himself, we learn that he really loves sports. He loves to exercise. He is a pretty big grump, but there's exceptions to him being a grump. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. Like he is a grump, but he has a funny side to him. But I feel like because he is such a grump, people don't like seek out that other side of him that can be a little bit sarcastic and funny. So I really like that in their very, maybe at first awkward dates with each other, they do establish further their fake dating rules, but they do also just get to know each other naturally. They have kissed quite a few times already. One of their first interactions with each other, which I'm pretty sure they met in the prologue, because we don't know the name of the guy that I assume it was Olive who she was talking to, but I'm pretty sure it was him. They do have a second kiss, and I thought it was like really good because he's like pushing a truck, and I guess he just looks like super sweaty but super manly, and everyone claps for him because the car was like clogging traffic to get out of like the parking lot or something. So just the fact that he pushed a whole ass truck by himself, Olive was like, oh, that's kind of hot actually. And like it is. So I really like that they have these moments where they are finding like attraction in each other. There is one part in this book that I honestly really, really hope is in the movie. And I won't say exactly what it is, but all I will say, it has to deal with sunscreen. And I feel like you can kind of imagine what that could entail. So I really hope that that part is in the movie. A couple of characters in here that I am also really enjoying are Olive's best friends. She has a best friend that she lives with. His name is Malcolm. He just seems like a fun, goofy character, and I'm really glad that Olive let Malcolm be in the know of what's going on because I feel like it's just better to have someone on your side when that secret gets out because at least you know that someone else like knew the truth of what was going on and your reasoning for putting yourself into a certain situation. Olive also has a best friend. I'm not sure how to pronounce the best friend's name. It's spelled A-N-H. I don't know if it's pronounced Anne or On. I knew someone in high school whose last name was On, A-N-H, and she told me it was pronounced On because she was Korean, I'm pretty sure. So with Olive's best friend, I don't know. The point is, I don't know if her name is pronounced Anne or On. So I'm kind of just gonna say both, and hopefully that's not like too annoying. Olive has a best friend named Anne slash On, and I think she is so funny, and she actually does remind me of like a lot of my best friends because we all have sort of the same sense of humor that Anne slash On has. So she's a really fun character, and she's like a badass in here because she's like part of so many different coalitions at school. It's so hard to flip through a book with only one hand while the other hand is like holding something. But I know Anne slash On is part of like different programs and coalitions with like bringing more women into STEM and basically just fostering a community with women in STEM. And I believe On is also, oh my gosh, I think she's Vietnamese. I can picture the exact paragraph where it says Anne slash An's background. I'm like 90% sure she's of Vietnamese descent, but the point is, Anne slash On is also part of different like programs and coalitions and groups to foster a community with Black, Indigenous, people of color within the sciences. So it's really cool because she's just part of so many programs. She is just a firm believer in bringing more women into science and fostering more communities and bringing in more Black, Indigenous, people of color into the sciences. So Anne slash On is a really cool kick-ass best friend. And I'm pretty sure a couple of my tabs, at least two or so, are just funny things that Anne slash Aunt says. So there are some things that I've seen people say about this book, and I feel like it's one of those things where you either love it or you hate it. And I guess it's because Olive is always saying how tall Adam is, how he towers over her, how she feels so small and petite next to him, and how she has to like go on her toes to hug him or kiss him and things like that. Personally, I have not felt bothered by it. And as I mentioned, I'm like a good amount of the way through with this book. And it has come up a couple of times, but it doesn't really phase me. And honestly, I'm pretty sure she's pretty tall as well. I have to double check this, but I'm pretty sure she's 5'8". So that already is super tall. I'm not even 5 feet. So Olive to me is also really tall. And I know for a fact when I have really, really tall friends, and I know whenever I see them, I'm like, damn, you're tall. And I'm very not tall. So I personally don't feel annoyed or bothered or anything whenever Olive brings up that fact that she is super tiny, even though she's not tiny, and Adam is very tall. I haven't felt bothered by it, but I know it can, like, that kind of repetition can be annoying for some people. To each their own. I think it's fine. Another thing I'm really enjoying about this book is I am seeing a different world of academia. So I graduated in like literature and the sciences are not something that I know of at all. So I'm learning a lot about what it means to be in like this area of school. I don't know what to call it, but I'm learning a lot. And my husband, he majored in chemistry and he is currently a chemist. So I talked to him about these things because it was something that kind of confused me. So there's one, he's not, right now, he's not like an important character. He was kind of mean to Olive unnecessarily too. But there's a character in here who was really upset with Adam or Dr. Carlson because Adam basically told him that he needed to rework a bunch of things in like his dissertation or something. Again, I don't know these words. I don't know like I know sort of what I'm saying, but I don't know like the process. So forgive me if I'm like getting something mixed up. But this student, I think his name was Chase. Chase was upset because Dr. Carlson said he needed to rework a couple of things on his dissertation and it's going to push him back on graduating or something. I can understand that could be really stressful to not graduate in the timeline that you want to graduate in, but my thinking is if you want your proposal and your research to be like, I use the word ironclad. My husband said that doesn't really work. I guess you just want your dissertation to be held up to scrutiny or something. But my thinking is, wouldn't you want someone to like nitpick your dissertation so that way it can stand up to scrutiny? Because if someone like Dr. Carlson is finding all of these holes within your work, like to me, the obvious thing would be to like re not, I guess not restart, but to continue researching and stuff. So it's hard because as a student, because I'm currently in school right now, I understand the frustration of like trying your best and presenting your teacher like the findings that you have and the research that you've done and your understanding of certain material, and then to be like shot down and told to like study a little bit more. But then on like the other side, again, with someone who doesn't have a science background, it just makes sense for someone to nitpick your stuff so that way it can stand up to scrutiny. So like I don't know what like you think of that kind of thing, or if that's your background. I would love to know your experience in that because coming from my experience, like I'm completely clueless, and my husband like shared his, I guess not his experience because he didn't go through this, but he told me what that process is like. So again, I can just see the frustration on behalf of the student, but then I also see like I why I think your work should be nitpicked and it should be able to be held up to scrutiny. So that's something I'm also learning within this book, and that's something I really like because I like learning about other departments. I like learning about stuff that isn't just literature or something else that's within the same area. So to me, this is also just really interesting to see because I'm seeing the college student experience in a certain major and in a certain department that I know nothing about. So that is something that I have also been enjoying with the love hypothesis. So those are all like my general thoughts about the book so far. And I thought I would just end like this vlog with some quotes that I tabbed that I really resonated with or I thought they were funny. And so, for some context, Olive is Canadian and she's currently studying at Stanford. And this quote here I thought was really funny. In hindsight, this entire fake dating business with Adam was going to be great practice for when Olive leveled up and started defrauding the Department of Homeland Security in earnest. Because there's a joke between Olive and her best friend, Anne slash On, that they will just get married if Olive is in ever of danger of her visa being like taken away or something. So I thought that was really funny. This next quote comes from Anne slash On when she is meeting Adam for the first time, still in like a school capacity. They're going to like a talk, I believe, from Tom Benton. He's also a doctor. And Anne slash On is going to meet Adam, not like for the first time, but for the first time as Olive's boyfriend, or at least that's her assumption. So this part from her I thought was really funny. I want to make sure that he deserves you, she winked. Consider my presence the equivalent of a father cleaning his rifle in front of his daughter's boyfriend before prom. So she's so funny. And she had like another joke in here about like some sort of alien invasion happening and like an alien species is like I don't know, making somebody do something so that way Olive could be dating Adam, something like that. It was like a really long winded joke, but that kind of long winded joke is something I found funny and something that is definitely in like the wheelhouse of my friends group humor. So she's just such a funny character to me. I'm not sure how much reading I will get done today. It's like heading into the afternoon, and I think yesterday I started pretty early on in the morning and I just read a little by little like throughout the day, but this today, I didn't have the morning to do so. So I'm not sure how much more reading I will get done, but I'm going to take it day by day. I'm not like in a super big rush to finish this book. This book is for the entirety of August, so there's really no rush and I'm just going to read what I can every day. And in terms of like vlogging my thoughts, I don't know how often I'll do it this week. I don't plan on this book taking me longer than a week to read. So I guess I will also see not only how much I will read every day, but how much of my thoughts I will share in a vlog throughout the day or the week. So when you see me next, I have no idea what day it'll be, but today is like Tuesday, August 11th or something. So it's 2 days later now. Today is Thursday. I have a canker sore, and yesterday I finished the last half of The Love Hypothesis. Also, I know I wasn't exactly at the halfway point, but I basically read the first half on Monday. I finished the last half yesterday, so I'm just going to call it the half. So, Tuesday, after I talked about my initial thoughts about the first half of this book, I didn't read it. I did not read a single page of this book. I just did not have the focus or the energy. But I did yesterday, and I ended up just finishing the book in its entirety yesterday. What was fun is when I was getting closer to finishing the book, I was messaging the book club that I'm in and just telling them my responses, reactions, and any questions that I had, like about the characters or something that I was confused on within this book. And what was fun is since a lot of them had already finished reading, I was able to like go back into the messages like further up and just respond to what they were saying. And it was fun because it wasn't like a spoiler for me anymore, and I was actually like contributing to the conversation. I loved reading everyone's like thoughts about this book and reading like what lines really stuck out to them, whether good or kind of like cringy. So it was a really fun time finishing this book yesterday and talking about it with my book club. So with this last half of the book, we definitely get into like more miscommunication and lack of communication between Olive and Adam. And oh my gosh, every time they would start to say something, but then they would get interrupted and then they just wouldn't finish what they were saying anymore, it would just drive me. Oh my God, I just wanted them to continue what they were talking about. Like there were one or two instances with Adam where he starts to say something to Olive, but then they get interrupted. And the thing that he was saying was very like oh my god, like what are you going to say right now, because he was like I just want you to know that, and then it would stop right there and I'm like, what do you want her to know? Finish, like don't let her leave yet, finish what you were going to say. And then at some point they talk about their situation, their fake dating situation, and she's kind of like asking him like what he's getting out of this or something, or why wouldn't he just want to like break up earlier and then actually go date someone that he actually would want to date for real. And he was like, oh, well, a fake relationship works best for me. And I think she asked him why, and he was about to answer, but then they get interrupted or something, and he never ever finished that sentence. So that was like another moment where I was like, oh my God, why can't you be like, hey, I got interrupted. I didn't finish talking. I want to tell you something, and then just say it, you know? So that was something that was like frustrating, but like in a good way. But then sometimes I would get a little bit frustrated because I don't know if I should say this because it is kind of a spoiler. But so I'm about to say a spoiler. So if you don't want to like know what it is, yeah, skip it. But Adam and Olive do meet like way earlier ahead of time. I think it was like 3 years ago. And Olive realizes that they have, in fact, met before. And she's like, oh my God, it's him. I should ask him. But then she thinks it's going to be like weird or something to ask him because they were, that moment that she realized it, it was kind of a very intimate moment, and I think she just felt unsure about bringing it up. But I'm like, there's no like risk of you clarifying if you guys have met before. So why aren't you just going to ask him? Granted, there is another layer of them meeting before. Like, I can't explain it. Like, we have Olive's POV of when they met, and then we have like Adam's POV of when they met. So there's kind of another layer to their meeting, but I feel like Olive still could have just asked if they have met before, and then it wouldn't have changed anything. If anything, again, it would have that extra layer that they could talk about later on. So it was just things like that where I don't understand why she couldn't just ask him something. And I don't know if maybe I'm just like a blabbermouth or something, but I'm of the opinion that sometimes you are going to ask a question and it's going to be awkward as hell, but at least you asked and you're getting clarification and you're not like killing yourself with all of these like what if scenarios. So sometimes I just don't know why Olive wouldn't ask Adam something or ask anybody else anything. It's just like I want to get the character like right in front of me and I want to shake them and be like, just ask the question. It's fine. You're going to be fine. It will be awkward for maybe 10 seconds and then you're going to get over it, but you're going to get answers. It's fine. And I'm kind of like going to go random about my thoughts here. I did like write down like really quickly what I wanted to touch on in this book. So the miscommunication and lack of communication was definitely one part of this book that I just really wanted to talk about. I want to say that Tom is disgusting, slimy, an asshole, and just like every expletive that you can possibly think of. I feel like there were a good number of characters who do go through some kind of growth. So obviously, Olive and Adam. I don't want to say she hasn't had any growth in the book, but something I am glad about her is that her and Olive finally talked about something. And I'm glad that they did. But my grievance with the way they talked about it, I feel like Olive unfairly put some responsibility onto Anne slash On. And I won't say towards what, but I'm sure you can guess at this point what it is. But Olive said that Anne slash On basically forced her to do the thing that she was doing, aka the fake dating. Spoiler. But in my opinion, I'm like, okay, Anne slash On didn't force you to do anything. You two just couldn't have an adult, mature conversation of Olive, you telling your friend, I do not like this man that I dated for 2 seconds. You can date him. I know you like him. And then that would have fixed like a whole heap of things. Granted, I don't know if Olive and Adam would have fake dated or interacted at all. I'm trying to like go deeper into like dissecting that, but I think I'm just like kind of losing myself. So I would just keep it there. I am going to feel super awkward talking about this next thing. So I'm just going to like say it super fast. The smut in here, it was so good. Adam was saying like the most beautiful, hot things to Olive when they were like getting super intimate. That's all I will say. Oh, I will say there were some lines that I just couldn't like get behind because they were like kind of cringy. Oh, I wonder if I should read one. Someone in the book club had an icky line that they didn't like that was from Olive's POV. Mine is from Adam's POV, and I honestly don't know which one is worse, to be honest. The first one actually, it didn't really faze me all that much. Sometimes I read lines and I'm like, all right. And there are other lines like this one, right, where I read it and I'm like, oh my God, like it's not even like it was a poor choice of words. It was like, why do you have to say it like that? Like, I don't like that. And my ick line goes, and it's really short. This line goes, a snarly feral beast tamed at last. And then I like slowly closed the book and I just like breathed for a second and then I went back to reading. I don't know. Sometimes like lines like that just like kind of take me out of the story for like a millisecond and then it's fine. And sometimes you know what? I feel like sometimes with rom coms and its sex scenes and its smut, you're going to have those cringy lines from time to time, and it's fine. You have to be able to laugh during sex. So I feel like that's what this line is doing. I'm not sure. I still don't like it, but I'm just gonna leave it at that. When I was reading Adam's POV, I really liked it because I enjoyed that we finally got to see a little bit more of an insight into what's going on in his head, what he's thinking, some of the reasons behind his actions, things like that. Something I do wish Adam's POV had more of. I wish we had a little bit more like examples of interactions that they had or conversations that they had or anything like that where he is just pining for her and yearning for her. I feel like we didn't have enough of those moments, to be honest. I feel like if they ran into each other a couple of times in the lab or outside of the lab and they have like a brief interaction and then in his head he's like pining over her and yearning over her, I feel like that would have been good. But I will say the way he was talking to her near the end of like the actual book and then tying that in with his POV, I do think it like saved itself in that aspect because we see the reasoning behind some of the things that he tells her. I feel like just the fact that they met and he has been in love with her ever since and they don't need to have like everyday interactions and he still loves her, I feel like maybe that's just more fitting for his character. So when it comes to like my overall thoughts of this book, I absolutely loved it, and I am definitely going to be reading more Ali Hazelwood books in the future. This was so fun to read, and this book has been out for quite some time now. I don't know how many years at this point, and I saw it absolutely everywhere, especially when I was working in a bookstore. And I would see it and I would think, yeah, I see that book so often. Everyone always buys it. And here I am, all these years later, having read the book now. I loved seeing everyone's insightful thoughts about this book, what they loved, what they liked, what they wanted a little bit more of. And it was really funny to see everyone's like ick lines that they didn't like. And I counted this time, or at least I hope, because there's one person that I don't think they introduced themselves, but there are in total four people in the book club who read this book for the first time, and I am one of those four. And I think in total, there's either 18 or 19 people in the book club. So a lot of people reread this book for however many times, and four of us read this book for the first time. I tabbed quite a bit, as you can see, and I'm super excited to like go through all the lines and paragraphs and pages that I tabbed and just reread. And I am super excited for the movie. I actually have to double check when the movie comes out. I don't know how I have gone through reading this book and talking about my thoughts, but not looking up when the movie is going to come out. I know who's going to be in it, but the date is like, you could tell me any date is the release date and I would believe you. So I should probably look that up. On Goodreads, I could have sworn I saw a copy of this book where the main actress for Olive, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce her last name right. Oh my gosh, Lily Reinhart, I'm pretty sure. I could have sworn I saw a version of this book on Goodreads where it says that she's writing like an introduction to the book or something. I could be wrong. If she is writing like an introductory page or two for this book, I definitely want to read what she has to say. I just don't know if it's going to be like a specific like version or copy of this book where I would have to like buy another one. So I guess I'll see whenever I look that book up again to see if what I was seeing was actually real. I also want to say I love pumpkin spiced flavored drinks. I think they're really good and I am always so excited when they come out every fall. And the fact that Adam calls it sludge is very, very hurtful to me. Also, something so I know I mentioned that the whole like he's so tall, I'm so small thing doesn't bother me. There is another thing where I'm not sure if it bothered me. Maybe it did a little bit, like little bit, but I don't know why people, well, because Olive was always making fun of Adam for being 34. I'm pretty sure he's 34. He's in his mid 30s, early to mid 30s. And she always called him old and he had to be careful because his back was going to get like thrown out or he was going to hurt himself going down a step. And she was just making fun of him for being 30, and I don't know if like it's starting to bug me that people keep making fun of 30-year-olds because even in like my real life, one person was like, "Oh yeah, like when 30-year-olds like think they're so cool because they're riding a skateboard and they want to feel young again." I'm 30. I'm 30 and I'm not like old and decrepit. I'm still very active. So I'm like, why do we think 30 is old? Because I'm 30. I'm not old. I don't feel old. Sometimes my knees hurt after I go on a run, but like I feel like that's not really indicative of the fact that I'm 30. I think it's because I went on a run and running is hard, so my knees are hurting. So whenever she was like, "Oh, you're so old, blah blah blah," because you're 34, I'm like, "Bitch, 34? That's not old. Oh my gosh." And also, I said this to my book club friends. So Adam is like super tall and brooding and he towers over her, blah, blah, blah. That didn't bug me. But she's talking as if she is so small and tiny and petite. Olive is 5'8". I am 4'11". To me, Olive is super tall. Olive would be towering over me. I would feel small and petite next to Olive. I'm sure I can keep finding other small things to talk about from this book because it had a lot of fun things to it. It was super funny, it was super sweet and heartwarming and heartbreaking. And I learned a lot about like the academia part in the sciences department and what a PhD student goes through when they're in school. It sounds rough. Props to every single PhD science student out there. I don't know what the name is called again, I forgot, but I really loved sharing my thoughts with my book club. I loved writing down my thoughts in my reading journal. I hope you enjoyed hearing what my thoughts were as someone who read The Love Hypothesis for the first time. I wasn't sure if I was going to feel comfortable making a vlog like this again because I only did it like the one time for Valentine's Day earlier this year. And I felt kind of awkward, but it was my first time doing it. So doing it the second time around, I feel like I'm kind of getting an idea of how I like to talk about books as I'm reading them. So I feel like I might still try to do this again in the future. I definitely don't feel as like awkward as I did the first time. It still might be a little boring because I'm in like the same place here talking about the book, but I definitely had much more fun this time around. And also, I think it's because I'm in a book club. So I was also pulling some ideas and quotes and topics that I talked about with my book club friends that I was able to talk about here. So I think it's just a number of different things, but I did like talking about the love hypothesis as I was reading. So I might try to do this again in the future. And that's all that I really had to talk about today. I hope you enjoyed um, listening to me talk about the love hypothesis. I would love to know if you've read the book before or if you've read it multiple times, what your thoughts about it are, if you're excited for the movie. That is all from me. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I will see you later.